Hey guys, what's up? It's your man Pete again. And I wanted to tell you about this incredible opportunity that I found if you're an investor or a potential investor and you want to get into the game of buying and selling property or condos that cash flow. Because I was looking for another client of mine and we were just researching around trying to find some different options for them. And I came across this opportunity out in the Durham region in Oshawa specifically. They're studio bachelors that are built for students. It's basically squeezed in between two colleges out in Durham region in Oshawa. But the price is just unbelievable, and the rent that you can get on it actually covers the expenses of your mortgage, your maintenance fees, your property taxes, and there's even a little bit of money left over after you do all the numbers. Because let's be honest guys, it is difficult to nearly impossible to find a cash flowing condo anywhere in Toronto, anywhere in the GTA. Like, this is one of the few, okay? And considering the age of the property, it was built in 2018, so it's basically brand new. And while we're going through challenges right now because of the pandemic and kids are not going back to school, from a long-term fundamentals point of view, this project makes sense. I know what you're thinking. You must be thinking, well, what's wrong with it? Why is it so cheap? It's obviously cheap for a reason, and there are some negatives about the property that we're gonna get into, but there's also some positives about it too. Because remember guys, every single property has positives and negatives, and it's our job as buyers and investors and agents to assess the value of a given property, why it's good, why it's bad, and of course in our business we have to promote the good. But let's get into the negatives first right after this, and right after you hit the subscribe button and like this video. We'll see you on the other side guys. Okay, so we're back. Let's break down and analyze this property here, okay? And we'll start with some of the negatives first, and then we'll get into the positives of why this property is a good potential investment for somebody who needs to add to their portfolio, or for people who just have a little bit of money and they just want to get into the game and start building wealth for themselves. The first negative, and the most important negative, is obviously that it's very small. It's somewhere in the range of 400 square feet for a studio bachelor apartment where the bed actually folds out. It's a Murphy bed. You know, it's clearly built for students. It's built for affordability. It's not really built for comfort. You have kids who are studying close by to the school. You don't want them commuting back and forth in and out of the city too much. You just want them to stay on campus, be focused, doing their studies and working hard. And so for $1,000 per month, or less than $1,000 per month, that's pretty much almost the same price as transportation if you're going to be driving in and out of the city every single week. And of course, another negative is that it's all the way out in Oshawa, which is about 30 to 40 minutes outside of the city, depending where you live. But again, from the fundamentals standpoint, it's right next to the colleges, right? It's pretty much built for these colleges in the Durham region, which have been getting a lot of attention recently, especially UOIT, where their focus is on technology and doing things like media, like this. But yeah, again, it's small, it's not much. Obviously, during the pandemic, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? But because it's small, it keeps the rent cheap, keeps it low. And as we all know, during tough times, cheap rent is always in demand. Okay, but now let's get into the positives, okay? So obviously, in terms of the positives, I'm going to focus on the fact that this property cash flows, or at the very least, it covers all your expenses. And if you've ever seen any of my other videos in the past, you should know that anywhere in Toronto or even in the GTA region, if you're covering your costs, covering your expenses on the property, you're winning. You're doing phenomenal with just a basic 20% down. And based on my quick and rough calculations, you know, sort of the current interest rates and what the maintenance fees are, you look like you're going to be cash flowing somewhere between $50 to $100 per month. So which means that if you have somebody living in this studio apartment, it generates cash for you passively $100 every single month without really having to do anything. You don't have to shovel snow, you don't have to mow the lawn, you don't really have to do anything because it's a pretty new building. So once you can find someone and put them in there, they're just going to be paying you rent every single month. And the key thing here is that it's not just a student building. Anybody can live there. It basically operates just like a normal condo. It's just that yes, it is geared more towards students, but if you had somebody who was maybe just a regular working Joe or Jane, they're not making a ton of money, but they need some place to live, it's affordable rent for them. And there you go, you have a home for somebody and you've generated income for yourself. Win, 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 guys. So some other things that these units come with, so they're fully furnished basically, so they were all built in because the space is so small, they had to build the Murphy bed in there, and it was included in the purchase price when people bought pre-construction from the developer. The furniture comes with it as well too, I think for most of these units. So you got desks, sofa, that type of thing. And then you still have some common amenities like party room, meeting room, some gyms. I know it doesn't apply here today, but when things do get back to normal, it's going to become valuable. accessible. And of course, at the bottom of the building, they've got Starbucks, Osmos, and Domino's Pizza. What more do you want? And while I don't usually recommend units or homes of this size normally, because you just can't house that many people in them, so you can't like have 2 people living in this property, just really it's just 1 student or a very young working person. And then sometimes you may have trouble with the financing aspect of it because there are some banks and lenders that don't lend for properties under 500 square feet. Although I think things have changed now because units even inside of Toronto have gotten a lot smaller and financing hasn't really become an issue as of late. You may want to work with a mortgage broker who can sort of shop around, get you the best rate, and find the best lender to match you up with in terms of getting a loan for this property. But again, just because the price point is so low, I don't think it's going to be very difficult to get financing on it. I don't think it's going to be very difficult to find a tenant on it. And while yes, when you're buying these kind of properties, you're not really going for appreciation, although I think there might be a little bit of room if things improve. It could go up steadily over the years up to $200,000. And that's easy passive money for you every single month. This is terrific for your very first investment to start small. This is how a lot of investors build out their portfolio, because when the property goes up in value or you show that it's cash flowing on a monthly basis, banks love that and they will actually lend you money, maybe get you a second mortgage or a home equity line of credit, and then in the future you can buy another property based on this first one. So it's a brilliant strategy. You can't go wrong. It's better to do that and get cash flow on a monthly basis than sitting on the side having no properties and just trying to scrounge up your pennies to buy something more expensive. Sometimes it's easier just to get in and get started because now you actually have some real assets on your balance sheet. And whether it goes up or not, it doesn't really matter. What you really care about is the passive income, the cash flow, the fact that you're managing a property and you have something on your books. Buying cheap is always a good strategy. That's why we always want to wait for the dip and we want to be able to negotiate on those prices. But in this case here, there may be some wiggle room, I think, because the units range from about $160,000 to $200,000 right now. But it's definitely interesting for you aspiring investors out there. You maybe only have about $30,000 you want to invest, but because of the price point, it really makes it easy. It's a really good entry point for you, and there's not a lot of work to do. You don't need to hire a property manager or anything like that. You just got to find a tenant, collect some checks, and away you go. So if you're interested in finding out where this property is, then please feel free to give me an email. I'll send you some options for you to look at, and hey, maybe we'll work together to get you your first investment property. And like I've been saying a lot lately, it's easier to buy resale because you can negotiate right on the spot versus paying developer future pricing. So I hope this video was helpful, insightful, maybe a little bit inspiring, but please make sure you hit the like button, give us a subscribe. We would really appreciate it. We just passed 2,000 subscribers. We're on to the next, which is 3,000. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to hear from you soon. Bye for now.